like to script every shot, every single shot. We go from this to this, this. And I always am surprised that I always think I need more material than I do. You know, and then when you start cutting, you go, oh my God, that lasts for like 12 seconds, that track around through this, you know. But I'd thought it'd be a 3-second shot, you know. And it's mostly because, well, most of the artists that I've worked with, they're really good on camera. And you don't kind of get that when you're just listening to their music and sort of, you know, you're imagining all the shot, all the other shots and all the other characters and the extras and everything. But they can hold, how long they can hold your presence for is often remarkable. Yeah. For her, Drive was a demo that she'd recorded, and I even filmed her doing the demo as part of a Music Nation story we were doing. And then we started talking about music videos. She was young, she wouldn't even been 20. And I wanted to shoot something on film because I'd never shot anything on film, and I had a friend of mine that who I'd been working with who was a cameraman, and he kind of wanted to as well. So it was just the three of us, and we shot it in my apartment in Parliament Street. And yeah, you know, the record company insisted there had to be a hair and makeup person, and they paid for this guy to come and make her look fabulous and put all her makeup on before the shoot, but he didn't stay for the shoot. As soon as he left, she went into the bathroom and just went like this and messed herself up again. Yeah, it was cool. It was very indie. Nobody had any idea she was going to be a big star at that point. I mean, well, of course the music spoke for itself, but you know, we still didn't kind of click as to just what a famous kind of New Zealand musician was going to come out. Instantly, when I met her, I could tell that she was quite genuine and confident in who she was and knew, you know, what she wanted. Of course, the irony is she actually didn't, but she still came across like that. She was open. She wasn't a closed person, which is always, well, it's always nice in anybody that you have a relationship with, but it's particularly good if you're making a documentary on someone. And we got on quite well. And so that first documentary was really exploring what she had been offered and also her kind of freaking out and not feeling comfortable with it. What was particularly interesting for me was there was something else going on there that we couldn't really explore because she wasn't ready to, and that was about her sexuality. And, you know, we talked about it a lot, but it didn't really, it came out a little bit in the next record she was writing, which became very insular, and her sort of, you know, she went deeper into herself. So that was actually the most frustrating thing. The fact that she was turning her back on the sort of the dream that that everybody wants is interesting. The most frustrating bit was, well, what about this other thing that's going on that surely is impacting? And so that's why I wanted to do another film with her a few years later when she was comfortable to talk about her sexuality. And we ripped off the Madonna title In Bed with Anika Moa. So, because it really was about that. It was about her. But at the same time in that story, she's thinking that she does perhaps want to pursue sort of, you know, this sort of fame and the opportunities that were given to her now that she's comfortable with herself. But it didn't really go for her when she went to Australia, but she fell in love and got married. So. Sort of a combination of me interviewing people around the world who have different opinions about its value, while also having a tour of numerous nuclear sites, including a uranium mine and Chernobyl itself and the city, as well as a Swedish nuclear power plant and a Scottish one, and you know, seeing nuclear waste being reprocessed and things. And it was, you know, something for New Zealand as well, I think, because that was of interest because it's instantly, the nuclear thing is just a no-go. But next door, we've got Australia, who is one of the biggest polluters when it comes to burning coal in the world. You know, 80% of their power is produced by burning coal, and they don't have the option of hydroelectric dams and things like that that we have. So I thought it was something worth exploring in that sense. Yeah. You had to strip off completely and put all new clothes on and be completely covered up. And it was like going into the wreck of the Titanic or something, you know, because there was no electricity. It was dark, and the sort of spotlight that we were shining around was like being underwater because you couldn't put a camera down, so everything's handheld and floaty. It was very surreal, but I turned to the crew before we went in and said, do you want to, you guys okay? You don't have to if you don't want to, but I'm going in. And they were like, hell yeah. So even though you knew it was dangerous, you kind of thought, let's do it. And it's Pripyat, the city next door to the reactor, is now a tourist spot. So you can pay to go there. They've started doing tours. And it wasn't like that when we went there. So a lot more people are game than we thought. I really like the story of the underdogs. These guys were outsiders. They were seen as kind of feeble and weak, and their trainer was a nutcase, And at the time when they started jogging wasn't even a thing that people did. I mean, people used to laugh at them when they'd run past and make jokes about, have you just robbed a bank or something? Because people didn't used to jog. So I liked that a lot. I liked the fact that they were those people. That's what appealed to me. And then it's a beautiful story because it's kind of poetic, because then when they arrive at the Olympics, they're even more outsider. They're on the outside of the New Zealand team anyway. Everybody else in the New Zealand team seems to get to the Olympics that year and go, Jesus, look at these Soviets, look at the Americans. Everyone's on steroids because it's 1960. And they completely kind of choked, Les Mills himself said, in the film. But our guys, our underdogs, with their crazy coach who's been even excluded from the New Zealand team because he's an upstart, stun the world with their revolutionary training and win the gold. And it's just such a beautiful story, I think. That's why I liked it. It was about the Five Eyes Alliance, which is the spying network that New Zealand's part of with Australia, Canada, Britain and America, which I'd always been really interested in. So it was kind of a modern day topic. I think that helped. I mean, that topic suits itself to be online. So it was an interactive documentary, and it was enjoyable. It was definitely a do-it-yourself film, which is me and Jake Bryant traveling around the world doing camera and sound and lugging all our gear. So it was quite different from some of the things I'd done before, but it was fun. I mean, there was a moment where I was typing in a hotel room in London and suddenly things started disappearing off my screen, the text, and that completely freaked me out. It's like, I'm not even touching the keyboard, and something was deleting on Word in front of me. And I don't know, who knows? Computers do strange things, but also people that I've spoken to said that sometimes things are done to intimidate you, almost as a joke.
Did you get your words back?
No, I couldn't hit undo, it didn't work. I just quit straight away and saved what I had and then reopened it and carried on, it was all fine. But yeah, so, I don't know. You don't even want to become too paranoid. It's the biggest thing that I've ever made and maybe ever will. It's looking at the journey of wealth and power as it's moved through centuries to try and get an idea of what's coming, and that's kind of, in essence, what the book is about. But the book, is 700 pages of economic text and lots of graphs. And so they're kind of companions, really. It's been a really, really big process. It's I'm really, really proud of it, but it's not out yet, so who knows what people will think of it. Underneath most of the stories that I've done, there has been the story of an outsider. Certainly that's exactly what The Golden Hour was. It is what the Anika Moa documentary was. And Love's Been Lost as well, And those are the stories that I like. I mean, New Zealand itself is often, feels like it's a little bit on the outside of the world as well. So I do think that's been one of the themes. When I was first starting out, I got given a book and it had exercises that you could do to try and figure out what your themes are, what the stories you should tell. And then that was the big thing that came out, stories about outsiders.